What's up, guys? Yeah, that's right. It's game time. Alrighty. I just got through a little spell playing Omnath and wasn't really having a lot of particularly interesting games, so I switched over to a perennial favorite, the mighty Nin deck. And in short order, had quite a game here against my new nemesis, Alela, the Artful Provocateur. Honestly, I'm still not particularly impressed by this commander. I mean, it has the same casting cost as Zur, so it competes in that slot. So I think that just makes it pretty much a more fun, casual commander compared to the strength of Zur. It's probably better than or at least gets stronger in multiplayer due to the fact that you can get a bunch of fairies out and make them strong. Not really sure how it works in 1v1, but I don't know. It's very draw dependent, obviously. And as we've seen before in plenty of other games, if people get the right mixture of cards, particularly fast mana sources, any commander can become dangerous and some can become downright horrifying. This game is a pretty good demonstration of that. So I'm going to kick it off. Obviously, this is a no-brainer keep. An island, Mana Crypt, Thought Vessel, and Sensei's Divining Top is very, very high percentile strength hand. And even though I'm going second, I still feel that my chances of losing this game are practically zero. But we shall see. All right. Obviously, neither of us is mulliganing. And Mr. Not Nice is kicking it off. Oh, actually, no, I guess he did mulligan. Yeah, he did mulligan down to 6. Oh, and of course, into Sol Ring. My constant nemesis. Again, I was talking about how often I've been facing this card. It's just insane how many times my opponents have had it recently. But that does at least make for cool contested games, which produce good videos, provided the replays work. So he goes turn 1 Sol Ring, turn 2 Fellwar Stone, Mox Opal as well. Good lord. All right, 5 mana turn 1. That's one hell of a 6-card hand. Completely nuts. And due to the fact that I'm playing blue, that means that with the Opal, he's got his fairy on turn 2. I can just hope that he doesn't really have anything to go with it, and then it's just a dorky 2-3 that doesn't really put me under a great deal of pressure before I'm able to get my foothold in the game. I see Whir of Invention plus the top, and I'm thinking, well, I can probably just weather the storm for a couple turns and then just Whir for Vidalcan Shackles and grab his fairy and be okay. So that's sort of going to be the game plan. And then I'm aided tremendously instantly by drawing Coalition Relic right off the top. So I can't complain about my own fortunes here without even having a mulligan. I basically matched him mana for mana, just one short. And yeah, should be fine. But we'll see how it goes. All right, so he's tapping all his mana, and he plays Alela, and I'm hoping don't have something like a Divining Top or some 1-mana artifact, and he just passes. All right, that's excellent. Okay, I play an island. And I start to tap all my mana here, and my intent right now is, well, he's tapped out because he does have 2 blue available. My intent is to just Whir right away for the Shackles. But then I realized, wait a minute, I've got a Divining Top in my hand, and that means that I can actually use the top to pay for one of that generic mana, effectively making it a free card. So I use the top for the Improvise and cast Whir for 3. And feeling pretty set up here. I mean, barring him having, sure, he might get a couple fairies, but if I've got his commander and I have Thought Vessel in my hand and tons of other artifacts, just a matter of time before I can get Nin online, start shooting the fairies or shooting his commander and gaining 2. So still feeling very, very good about the game. And then he's got Detention Sphere, and that's really, really bad for me. Because not only does it make a 2-1 fairy, but the Shackles is gone, and I don't really have any out against anything right now. And then he's got Bitter Blossom, making another fairy, and this thing is going to pump out 2-1 fairies all day long. And this game just got really, really sketchy. I still have a lot of life to play with, but the pressure is going to mount incredibly quickly. And I do have a Mana Crypt in play too, which can be hitting me for even more damage. And I draw Rift right off the top, and of course, when I see all this junk, I'm thinking to myself, okay, well, I got to just muddle into Cyclonic Rift, survive long enough to deploy it. I can bounce all of his crap at the end of the turn, counter the Sol Ring when he replays it, and then use Shackles to steal the Alela, and we're back at the same spot. But that's going to require me to have 7 mana on his turn. So I'm going to play the Thought Vessel, and I'm just going to chill here. That way I've got Forbid to protect, and I can charge the Relic at the end of the turn, or use Divining Top, and then I'm going to be able to set up a 7-mana play on his turn. And I'm starting to get a feeling that he's playing a kind of deck that probably doesn't run counters or very few counters, so I might be able to just do end of turn Rift, which is when I really want to do it. plays a Temple of Silence. Not too bad. And he plays Bident of Thassa. An excellent, excellent card in this deck. It would allow him to draw 4 right away, so that is not even, that's a no-brainer. And it gets him another 2 unfair. I'm just going to forbid that, of course, instantly. And take a little beating here, taking 6. And I put a charge counter on the relic. This at least gives me the flexibility of being able to rift in my main step if I don't draw any more land. And if I were to draw something like Force of Negation or Force of Will, which of course I would use right away to counterspell the Sol Ring when we replayed it. Or possibly, maybe I'd actually counter the Vidalcan Shackles. I have to be careful though, I can't go too low because of the Crypt. And I draw basically useless Trophy Mages. I've got the best 3-mana thing already, the 2 3-mana things already in play. I'm going to make blue mana. And what I really, really need to see on top of my deck right here is a land. A land or a Sol Ring or really anything that makes mana equal to itself. Well, I guess a Mox Opal would be great too. Damn it. Talisman of Creativity, Worn Power Stone, and Into the Royal. Well, that's really, really unfortunate because that means I'm going to have to take another entire big hit of 10 and go down to, I'm going to have to go down to 9 life with a Mana Crypt in play in order to have any chance of winning this game in the long run. I mean, obviously I could have just rifted right there, but he basically just rebuilds this entire board in 1 turn. I get 1 turn of reprieve with the Shackles in play, but all these creatures are in play again, and it doesn't really put me ahead. So I need to make the playing to win play here. I'm going to draw the Worn Power Stone and play it. At least I still have Muddle up, and this is going to be close. Plays Seat of the Synod, taps a ton of mana. I'm thinking, what the hell is this? And it's Blue Sun Zenith, which I'm more than happy to just muddle away. Okay, well, he's got no cards in hand. All right, I gotta take 10. I go down to 9 life. All right, well, I really, really need to fade the Mana Crypt flip here to have a little bit of breathing room to set this up. But it is super close. Come on. Yes, all right, that's super good. Divining Top. Yeah, I'm gonna make blue. And of course now I can't actually do the rift at the end of his turn anymore because of that 1 turn that was missed. I mean, think of the difference of that, being able to rift away all these guys at the end of his turn and then being able to actually untap and being pretty much able to handle whatever he does. Instead of this, I'm forced to do a main step rift. And of course I'm not going to let him untap. There's absolutely no reason to let him untap before I do this because of the fact that, I guess I could do it during his upkeep, presumably. But if he draws a counterspell, of course, I just insta-die. So there's no real reason not to do this immediately. I'm going to rift. That gets the Shackles back. And I'm going to play Nin the Pain Artist. I could leave Vidalcan Shackles untapped here. And in retrospect, maybe that was the right play but I'm thinking he doesn't have, because he has just 3 land, and he has Sol Ring in play, I have 1 turn where he can go, I guess he can just play his Alela, but that's all he's going to be able to do. He's going to have to tap Swamp, play the Alela. Actually, I guess he has to tap Seat of the Synod. He plays the Sol Ring, taps Sol Ring, plays the Felwar Stone, plays Mox Opal, casts his commander that way. And then he doesn't really have anything that he can do for a turn, and that buys me enough time to snag his commander and shoot it and hopefully deal with the detention sphere and keep the Shackles in play, which will probably allow me to win the game because of the lifelink on his commander. So that's really my goal. I know that the rest of his hand isn't really that scary. It's just mana artifacts. So as long as he doesn't have his commander. But by playing Nin now, it means that if he does draw a land here, well, I guess, it's just really, really hard for him to have, even if he draws a land, it's really hard for him to play Alela and play all the mana artifacts afterward, which allows him to get a bunch of fairies. And that's the reason why I don't just leave the Shackles untapped to snag Alela the moment he casts his first fairy, and that prevents him from casting a bunch of other artifacts afterward. So I should be fine. Even if he draws a land, I'm good. So there's literally only 1 card that he can draw right now that completely punishes this play. And he draws it. Mana Crypt. off the top. So now, because of Mana Crypt, he has the ability to play Alela and then play all those artifacts instead. And I'm so screwed now because of that. That's just, it's unreal. I mean, I don't really know what to say. So now he's got exactly one. That allows him to play Soul Ring. That allows him to play Felwar Stone. And then he plays Mox Opal. And then he plays Bitter Blossom. And now there are 4 2-1 flyers in play. And I'm at 9. And he still has the Detention Sphere in his hand. So imagine if he doesn't draw Mana Crypt. If this is a land, then he goes play a land, cast Soul Ring. Yeah, all he can do is just play Alela and I guess play a Mox Opal. He doesn't even have the ability to play Felwar Stone and Bitter Blossom. So it makes 1 creature instead of 4. And yeah, I mean, I can't imagine a more perfect card. Insane. Well, I'm still going to have to soldier on here and see if I can do anything. I cannot take damage. Come on. Damn. All right, down to 6. I know there's Into the Royal on top of my deck. So at least Into the Royal gives me a way to bounce Mana Crypt if I'm able to stabilize here. But I don't really know what I'm supposed to do. There's nothing to fetch with Trophy Mage. I decide I'm just going to immediately grab the Alela, and that allows me to play top and get a fairy. So not too bad. That at least takes out 2 of these guys. But I know he's got that damn Detention Sphere in his hand. I don't really have... There's nothing I can really do about it because if... and he's pumping out Bitter Blossom tokens. This is just so rough. All right, he makes another guy. All right, down comes Detention Sphere. So I need to see what he's going to do. Obviously, I assume that he's just going to take Vidalcan Shackles. It's probably the right play. He could alternatively take his Provocateur out of play and attack me with all these guys. I would go down to 3 life with a Mana Crypt in play, and that's an extremely reasonable play, although it would have backfired tremendously because I have Into the Royal. So I'd have been able to Into the Royal the Mana Crypt at the end of the turn, preventing me from having to flip for my life and then untap with Shackles out. And that way he can't immediately play his commander because I can steal it and gain life. So he aims at the Shackles. I have to let that happen since there's no other way to survive. He plays Orzhov's Signature on another mana artifact. So brutal. All right. Well, fortunately, this thing has Summoning Sickness, so it allows me to do this Desperation play. And of course, I'm not doing this with Kicker. I'm going to bounce the Detention Sphere during the attack step. That gives me the Shackles back untapped. I tap them to steal his fairy. And I get a double block here, gaining 2 life, taking 2, and staying at 6. Still at 6 life. All right. God, it's just such a nail-biter. You can see me actually wondering why. I thought I was going to gain more life than that, but I was not accounting for the fairies right there. So I said, wait a minute, why didn't I gain life? And then I realized that I actually did. I took 2 and gained 2. Okay, got to use the Divining Top and pray for a miracle. I know that there's still a Talisman on top of the deck. But with that also, there's a Daze. Daze is really interesting, actually, because if you look at his mana, I have Wasteland here. If I Wasteland away the Temple, and I obviously he's going to cast his Detention Sphere. Well, if you look at his mana, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. If I'm able to kill Alela, it's going to cost 6 to recast and 3 mana for the Detention Sphere, which means that this Daze can actually stop Alela from coming into play, which means that these fairies will only hit me for 4 damage instead of lethal. And that means that there's actually a very, very narrow window. There's a tiny, tiny percentage chance. I have to keep fading Mana Crypt. Come on, deck. Damn. All right, down to 3. That's going to make things much harder. If I had won the flip there, my chances of winning the game were actually not 0. All right, so I realize that if I do the math here, and I know that he's going to cast Detention Sphere and remove Shackles. So I'm attacking with Alela right now, so I can at least get 2 life out of it and get up to 5, which prevents me from having to flip for my life. All right, I strip mine here, and I'm thinking, please don't draw a land. Do not draw a land, Mr. Not Nice. You've been lucky enough to draw Mana Crypt at exactly the right time. If he doesn't draw a land here, there is a chance. Come on, damn it, and he still takes Command Tower. So now the Daze is basically bricked, and you're going to watch this exact sequence play out as expected. So he casts Detention Sphere. And the reason I probably should have just used detentions. I probably should have just shot Alela in response here, because I could. I mean, I guess it doesn't really matter, but I could actually get Force of Negation, which would allow me to counterspell the detention sphere and at least keep the shackles in play. But what I really need to actually draw, of course, is I need to draw Force of Will and Force of Will only. That's the only card that's going to actually get me out of this. And even Force of Will, actually, I don't even know if that works, because I take 1 and die to fairies. Yeah, it's basically over. All right. So in response to him targeting shackles, I just tap all my mana and blast his Alela for 6. Look at this. It's actually, my deck really tried its level best to survive here. It gave me Mystic Sanctuary to return Cyclonic Rift. It gave me the Daze, of course, and a Cryptic Command to tap all of his guys for 1 more precious turn. And if I had just had a little bit more life to deal with here, just a teeny bit more, this game was still winnable, as crazy as it's been. Unfortunately, he drew a land there. Certainly, if I'd been able to Daze his Alela and I had a little bit more life to work with, then it was completely winnable, because I could play Mystic Sanctuary, put Cyclonic Rift back on top of my deck, and I could Cryptic Command him, play another land, rift his whole board, and keep the shackles, and then counterspell the detention sphere when it came back out, and that might allow me to actually win the game with shackles on his commander, but that's not going to happen. So sure enough, because the Daze is useless now, he's got exactly 1 mana floating, and down comes Alela, and there is no chance. And I've got one Wing and a Prayer, which is drawing a card with the Divining Top, drawing into Force of Will, counterspelling Alela, and then him not realizing that he can attack with all 4 guys, and winning the coin flip and being at 1. Yeah, not likely to happen. And that is the game, unfortunately. Alela takes me down with Crypt and Soul Ring and crazy mana draw. It's often what it takes to beat this Nin deck, but it does happen. And yeah, this is why it's hard to get giant win streaks in Commander. These high variance cards that are swingy in decent decks can just make you lose games, because they just make your opponent so fast you can't do anything, particularly in a containment style deck like Nin. But I thought this was a really cool game to show anyway, because it just shows how you can kind of utilize these tools and sometimes grasp at straws, and sometimes you grab enough straws and you can pull yourself up. And I got damn close and thought it was a pretty cool pitch battle and worth a video. So hope you guys enjoyed it. Got another game coming up. See you soon.